The member for Ryan.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and my question is to the Prime Minister. Will the Prime Minister update the House on how the Morrison government's plans to continue our recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic will focus on building our economic strength in the year ahead so we can continue creating jobs, opportunities and certainty for Australian businesses and workers?
The Prime Minister has the call.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for Ryan for his question. He knows, as I think most Australians now do, that the economic comeback in this country is underway. It began last year, Mr Speaker. Some 90% of the jobs that were lost over the course of the terrible COVID-19 recession and pandemic have come back into the economy. Australians are joining that recovery by voting with their feet, with participation in our workforce rising again back to record highs. And that has led the Governor of the Reserve Bank to say in Australia the economic recovery is well underway and has been stronger and earlier than expected, Mr Speaker. These outcomes have been underpinned, the Governor of the Reserve Bank says, by Australia's success on the health front and the very significant fiscal and monetary support. A hallmark of the economic recovery plan has been the absolute synchronisation of fiscal and monetary policy, and I thank the Reserve Bank for the way that the Governor and the Board have worked closely with Treasury here to ensure that our economic recovery plan has been so closely aligned. And with measures like the Home Builder program, Mr Speaker, that today we read housing building approval figures highest on record, Mr Speaker, at a time of a great pandemic, at a time of a COVID-19 recession. The interventions that have been targeted by this government, targeted, proportionate, ensuring that those jobs would be there, Mr Speaker. As we looked into the abyss of this pandemic back in last March, we knew that we would need to take actions urgently in a range of sectors, but in particularly in the residential construction industry, and here we see housing building approvals, Mr Speaker, people responding to get and be part of this comeback. But the delivery of the vaccines, Mr Speaker, is critical over the course of this year. The delivery of safe, accessible, effective vaccines. TGA approved, Mr Speaker, by the finest regulatory agency for vaccines anywhere in the world. 140 million doses secured by the great work of the Minister for Health and the Secretary of Health, Professor Murphy, Mr Speaker, with a sovereign capability to produce those vaccines here, a sovereign capability that so many countries around the world are envious of. Over 1,000 points of distribution, linking in pharmacists, GPs, Mr Speaker, hospitals, respiratory clinics, and a clear priority for the rollout, Mr Speaker. And today, as I was able to advise the Pacific leaders who we joined with in the Pacific Islands Forum today, and it continues as we speak, $200 million also to invest in supporting them for the full rollout of vaccines, and to be working with the French government and the United States government to ensure that all of our Pacific family, from the Micronesian states right across Polynesia, Mr Speaker, that in this part of the world we are looking after our family when it comes to the vaccines.